Hello, I'm Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity and creator of Bogash Life in Balance. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting concept that wraps a lot of stuff over and a potential procedure that could potentially cure or at least drastically improve diabetes. Now, diabetes and insulin signaling and how our diet our diet and our lifestyle affects how we handle sugars is something I understand really well, and I find that a lot of providers do not understand the nuances, how things like just chewing more, slowing down when you eat can actually improve your glycemic control, and how short burst exercise may do better than hopping on the treadmill for 45 minutes. There's a lot of nuances of understanding how we improve the way sugar works in our body. And diabetes and prediabetes is a biggie because it affects so many people. It's the one thing that all human physiology fights against. And the lifestyle and the society we live in is not supportive of staying away from diabetes. Let's just put it that way. And I'm obviously not a huge fan of medications. A lot of them have their problems. The sulfonylureas will... They're designed to stimulate the beta cells of the pancreas to produce more insulin, but ultimately they actually burn out the insulin and create more problems than they started with, which is crazy. The TZDs were removed off the market a while ago. We have the newest class of drugs just help spill glucose out of the urine. The class before that was the new fancy drugs, were designed to affect a hormone called GLP-1, but basically these are all things that our lifestyle choices can have an impact on. But most people, I'd have to say most, not all, but most people have a problem adhering to certain lifestyle recommendations, and that's where medications come in handy. Certainly a double-edged sword because they all have their issues and their problems. Enter a concept idea that started maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, where we understand how much the gut plays a role in diabetes. And as a matter of fact, the newfangled diabetes drugs, the GLP-1, like Byetta and Januvia, all affect a hormone released from the duodenum, is the first part of the small intestine. And we know that people who have gastric bypass or gastric sleeve can have pretty drastic improvements in blood sugar handling. They have long-term problems because you just completely messed with the way the body absorbs calories. So not a good long-term approach, but it's one that a lot of people use, unfortunately. So some people came along and said, what if we just go in and we kind of destroy the lining of the duodenum? Kind of resurface, hit the reset button, because we know that that region of the stomach, the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine, gets altered in people who are diabetic. It can become thickened, and as a result of poor quality diets, high fat, high sugar diets. So what if we just go in there through the mouth, no different than a scope, and it's called hydrothermal ablation, where they go in with hot water, they kind of spend about a half hour, 45 minutes destroying the top lining of the duodenum. And pretty interesting because it's non-invasive. It doesn't really change anything like a gastric bypass or a gastric sleeve. But it turns out that even 2 years later, the people in this study still had lowered A1C. Like, they didn't change their meds, they didn't change their diet, but their A1C dropped 1 point, which is logarithmic, so that's a huge change. Liver enzymes, specifically ALT, were better. Their HDL and triglyceride ratios improved. Everything was looking better, and they didn't change anything. We just kind of hit the reset button on the duodenum. Now, not my preferred method, but geez, oh Pete, if somebody's considering something like a gastric bypass, this is a way better concept and idea. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this procedure comes along in the years to come. And as always, I'll be there to keep you informed on whatever we see in this duodenal mucosal resurfacing. As always, make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.